young men speaking in the city square, trying to tell somebody that he cares. Can you blame the voice of youth for asking what is true? Yeah, the ones that you're calling wild are gonna be the leaders in a little while. When will the lonely voice of youth cry, what is true? This our world's waking to a newborn babe, and I solemnly swear it'll be their way. You better help that voice of youth find what is true. And the lonely voice of youth cries, what is true?
Bang! Welcome in, everybody. Yar indeed, say I. Since Ixnon said it first. Yar indeed. So, we are here on another Friday, at least according to my watch, it says Friday. I have my Sampal. Hopefully, you have some suitable beverage. I've got my Muppet mug, which everybody should have one of. If you don't have one, you can order one. They're in the links. And no tea today, no time. So I've got a nice apple cider vinegar drink, which is delicious, homemade stuff to help your stomach, which I always need help with. Unfortunately, I don't know why, but such is my illness. I have a bad stomach. Yar y'all, excellent. That's the southern yar, I guess. Y'all is my favorite. It actually fixes a problem in the English language. Everyone max on the Southerners for it. I'm like, yeah, but it's actually an upgrade to the language, and the Northerners couldn't handle it, so they suck, and the South it does not. At least with respect to that. All right. Let's get started. Let's look in our favorite book here and see what we come up with from Nassim Nicholas Taleb. For the compassionate, sorrow is more easily displaced by another sorrow than by joy. Boy, doesn't that explain a lot? For the compassionate, sorrow is more easily displaced by another sorrow than by joy. Yeah, compassion. It's not what you think it is. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting stuff. I always love those aphorisms. Always insightful. What we're talking about today is public versus private. And I think there's a great deal of confusion around these concepts about public and private. And it matters a lot more than you think. And I think it affects a lot more stuff than people realize. And that's where the problem comes in when you don't have, we'll say, a healthy understanding of public and private, you just end up with a bunch of problems. Why does my camera keep falling down? There we go. And those problems are significant, and they have all of these second order effects that people aren't aware of. And we're suffering, and the internet obviously makes this worse, from the problem of not being able to discern what should be public and what should be private. And that means we can't make proper connections. Our ability to understand the quality of relationships that we have is what is at stake, the intimacy crisis. We cannot understand the quality of our relationships with the world. And it's just manifested or reflected in this confusion between public and private. And that's just domicide all the way down. And it begs the question, what is valuable? And that turns out to be the heart of so many of the questions we're facing now. And let me go back into the private and talk about why we might prefer the private. The thing is, we want closeness. We want to belong. We want to be connected to things that are like us. But we are confused. And we think that knowing something private about a person conveys this mystical, undefined thing called authenticity, which brings us closer to the other person. So they've shared something private with us. We think they're being authentic. And now we're closer to them because we know something private about them. Right? And these are all flat world descriptions of the quality of a relationship between you and another person. But you can't really express quality using propositions, at least not sufficiently. And perhaps if you bring your authentic self, you'll be more connected to the world because magic? I don't know. That just seems to be the way people are acting and behaving in the world, as if they're just revealing their private thoughts, feelings, expressions, actions, past relationships, past events, that somehow you're better connected. And of course, they do this too quickly, right? That's social awkwardness. It's a significant problem. And that's supposed to convey something that is supposed to give you something. But it often doesn't end up giving you what you want. And the thing is, when somebody gives us access to their private whatever thoughts, feelings, lives, once we have access to that very private part of someone else, we start to presume motivations. But the motivations we prefer in the world are our own. They're not some unknown motivation that maybe we can't even understand. Some people are quite motivated to spend $1 million to get even with somebody. Of course, they likely have $10 million, and what's 1 million out of 10? It may be worth it to them for a little vengeance, or so they perceive. That's not a motivation I understand. It's not a motivation I'd presume either, because who does that? Not me. We prefer our own motivations, not some motivation that we know nothing about, because we don't actually understand that person. We don't actually understand what motivates them and how. Having additional private information makes us believe that we can even understand that motivation. Because after all, we know our own motivations so well. Unless, of course, Dr. Jordan B. Peterson is right and you don't know what you're up to. So then, if you don't know what you are up to, why would you know what anybody else is up to? Why, indeed. Probably one of the reasons why Dr. Peterson makes so many people so uncomfortable You want some comforting lies or do you want some Peterson? It really is one or the other. And the thing is, this is wrapped up, this whole public private distinction, and our ability to draw lines, to create boundaries, and to stand by them. Because boundaries are always messy. We want them to be clean and clear and to serve whatever purposes we want, but they often don't. I mean, you elect a guy and he didn't do what you want. I mean, he does some of the things you want, but not all of them. And sure, maybe a large enough people can never agree on lines and where they should be drawn. That's statistics, simple as. Right? You get a large enough set, the more people you get on board, the less agreement you're going to get about the details. Sorry. But that doesn't mean we can do without lines just because it's hard to get agreement when you have large numbers of people. That's part of the scaling of government. That's what government is there to do, reduce the number of people that have to agree so that at least you can get something done. And the thing is, this is the difference between the left, lefties, right? The moderates, which nobody ever talks about because everyone's stuck in binary thinking, and the right. The left will never commit to a line. They might agree to a line temporarily or say such a line exists, but when you try to have any of them draw one, even as a single person, they won't, or they can't, or they move it immediately with any example. They'll never commit to that one. And the moderates will agree in very similar lines, but and they'll commit and they'll say, person by person, absolutely, and here's my line. They'll do that, right? But it's their line, and so they won't agree on exactly where that line is. They'll fight over the line. The left won't fight over the line. They don't actually believe in the line. They don't care about the line. That's just not their thing. That's why they're often confused when things that are obvious to everybody else happen. It's like, well, yeah, of course Evergreen was going to blow up. Like, wait, really? You didn't see that coming? And then when you're in the middle of it, you didn't notice what was happening? Really? Wow. It's amazing. On the right, they'll commit. They'll pick something to avoid having no lines, even though they know it's imperfect, because they know lines are required and necessary and important. And that's the difference. I mean, it's not the only difference, it's the primary difference, and it explains most of the other differences in voting, in political causes, in all of these things. That's why you can't find somebody, people on the left who vote Democrat, at least not in the United States, some of whom are for Israel and some of whom are for Palestine simultaneously. That's a little weird, isn't it? Unless what I said is true, in which case, it makes perfect sense. And just drawing lines differently. They're not really agreeing on the lines. And they'll change them tomorrow, right? Are they pro-genocide or anti-genocide? I don't know, right? Are they pro-Christian or anti-Christian? Well, it's a good question. Depends on what day it is, I guess. And you can notice this, right? And not by understanding public and private, but just by changing the parameters of what you're asking of the same person. And then you see the wishy-washy. We avoid the wishy-washy by switching the specific for the general and then the general back for the specific so that we can dodge the bigger question of, is there a group here and what is their belief? What will they do as a group? Oh, nothing, because they're on the left. Fair enough, no group. Identification against. That's their private belief, is a belief in whatever they need at the moment to be hedonistic effectively. And maybe it's just hedonistic about not wanting to face the horror of something like a war, or the horror of the people you support being the bad guys, or the horror of the politician you believed in failing, whatever it is. That's also hedonism. And this spreads out, not just into politics, we'll say, or impacts not just politics, but is a public death valuable? Because I see it all the time now. You've got Charlie Kirk, he's murdered publicly, and then he's a martyr. It's like, I don't think that's how martyrdom works, but I I guess. And there's the question of, was he in the club or out of the club, and how much of a martyr and why and what? And the thing is, all deaths are public. I mean, who dies in a cave alone? Maybe a few people, but wow. I mean, we're missing the discernment, the larger question, which is, what parts of our death, or our life for that matter, should be public, and which parts should be private? It can't be just our flaws. All our flaws should be private, and all our good things should be public. I mean, that can happen, and maybe that's necessary under certain circumstances or something, but I mean, it's a discussion worth having for sure. What are we valuing when we're trying to discern the value of a public death? Did we show off our bravery in dying alone with our cats? Materially successful, but alone? No, no. That's the Scott Adams death, or the Charlie Kirk opposite, where he has everything, but he dies anyway. It doesn't do, neither of them does any good, right? Because true death looks more like Christopher Lee. You have no idea how cool he was, right? Until you find out these little trivial tidbits and whatnot. But you know what? You always knew he was cool anyhow. Isn't that interesting? He didn't need to have a public death to be cool. And he had a public life and a private life, and he didn't mix them. And the more you find out about his so-called private life, the cooler he gets. Because there was a proper line drawn the whole time he was alive. It's very important. And this inability to see this line between public and private and keep them separate, hold that boundary, is also an inability to properly value things in the world and to notice what values are manifesting, which explains a lot. Not all value is good or of the right type. It's discernment all the way down. And this is really important because we're trading that depth of your relationship, that private to public depth, for breadth. How much stuff did you do in your life? What? It's a dangerous game. Let me give you an example. It's easy to get fooled into helping criminals or even enemies because their private lives of not having enough food, or maybe coming from an impoverished country or an impoverished upbringing, or dying of cancer, or needing daycare, right? When those private things are exposed to the wider public, then the wider public wants the government to step in and do something. Food pantries, free cancer medicine, daycares. Okay, so the government wants everybody to open daycare centers to help out these single moms. And then enemies of the United States, because definitely are, like, you only have one allegiance and one loyalty to one place, guys. It's not that hard to figure out. They figure out, oh, this is a priority for the government. The government is outsourcing daycare. Of course, the government shouldn't be in the business of daycare. That would be dumb. The government's terrible at everything. We certainly don't want them doing daycare. That's actually important, right? And so it outsources it, as it does with everything, right? And wham, you have lots of fraud. Because Of course you would. Obviously, this daycare is needed. We've got to get it out to the people. We don't want a lot of bureaucracy in the way, right? So, of course, this has to be done quickly, which means it needs a low barrier to entry. It needs to be easy for people to start daycare centers. It needs as little bureaucracy as possible so things go as quickly and run as smoothly as possible. And no one is allowed to question because that would slow things down. We don't want to get bogged down. We've got to get this daycare out to everybody. And it's a hard problem, right? All because you saw the private struggle of one person and assumed what would fix it for that person. And we're often wrong about even that. But what is the real flaw here? The issue is at the level of the personal, private perspective, which everyone lately is holding up as a good thing. This is one of the side effects of individualism, right? Which causes materialism, among other things. Materialism also causes individualism. Objectivism causes both, right? Either. The thing is that solutions to the exact same problem have a wide variation across populations, right? The more people you have, the more solutions you're going to need for the same problem to get rid of that problem. So you can't apply one solution and get rid of the problem for everybody. So one single mother might need someone to watch her kids while she's at work or something, while another one just needs a different job, maybe one that she's only working during school hours, like working at the school. That's what most people have done for most of history in the United States, by the way, to solve this issue. Not a big deal. Well, really, both of these just need family help or to get a loving husband instead. So, I mean, there is a way to resolve childcare. It's called family. And barring that, it's called husband, right? Where both parties aren't working. This isn't that hard. It's just involving the government in this is just asking for fraud. And you may think, oh, daycare solves a problem. No, it just creates new problems because no one cares for your children better than you do. Sorry, it's never going to be any different. It's always going to be exactly that way. There's nothing I can do about it. I was born into this world with that particular limitation, just like you. Cry me a river if you don't like the fact that that's the thing that works the best. Nothing I can do about it. And this lack of separation is part of the flat world issue, which causes the loss of the ability to discern proper separation as such. We do not know where we end and other things begin. There's no difference between the public and the private for most people. When we want to be part of something bigger, we can over identify with someone else and their condition or their struggle or their situation. Like Scott Adams. A bunch of older people start thinking more about death. Along comes Scott Adams. Oh, I remember him. Yeah, he's a little older than me, maybe, or maybe he's my age, whatever. And he's struggling with death, and I'm struggling with death, and we're all online, and we've been doing these long form conversations about things. So here's just another long form conversation about a dignified way to die. But in that case, it's rather clear he's not good. None of what happened was good. It may have been public, but it wasn't good. The fact that it was public wasn't good. The whole thing wasn't good. And that's the problem. The guy is on his deathbed. He didn't confess. He didn't repent or do his penance, but instead he selfishly declared that the statistics were in his favor for a deathbed conversion. And all that does is prove that Martin Luther was correct when he criticized the church, because aside from indulgences, deathbed confessions were a problem. And it's a similar problem, right? Oh, I do what I want. And then when I'm done doing what I want, uh, I buy my indulgence, or I do everything I want while I'm alive until I'm almost dead. And then I do my conversion. That isn't a win. That's a big loss for everyone, because Luther did nothing but harm to the world, ultimately. So making public your selfish decision that, well, hey, it doesn't do any harm. I'll just like declare myself a Christian. Like, that doesn't even work in any Protestant denomination. You're not in the club, dude. You didn't get catechized. Now, maybe a lot of Protestants don't catechize, but he didn't even say the words for the denominations that say these words and you're in the club. Why is this better? But you want that butt in the seat. You want that win. See, Christianity wins on your deathbed. It's like, I don't know, man. That's pretty sad. I mean, talk about opening a critique for your religious belief. Wow. Again, like Luther went over this. This isn't that hard. This is not a win. This is a flat pack loss. And making it public, why? Because otherwise you die alone with your cats? I mean, maybe, I guess, but that's selfish too. Why don't you just die alone with your cats? That's the life you ended up choosing. However, you ended up choosing it is not up to me. I don't know. Well, why are you sharing all this with me? I don't want to know any of this. I don't care if you were successful and wrote some books. Like, I liked your book. I read Win Bigly. It was a pretty decent book. I'm sure it helped quite a few people, but lots of things help people. So, whatever. Not a very high bar in my estimation. It's a selfish idea that you only need to do a little work at the end because of accomplishments that you had during your life anyway, and then you can avoid all the penalties, and that gives us hope for hedonism, but not goodness. It takes away all the goodness, because it's basically, the message is hedonism until you need something else, and then at the last minute you get the thing you need. What? No. No work, no effort. And why? Because we can't see that a public conversation about your deepest thoughts about life, the universe, and everything is not necessarily a good thing. This is the same problem as with the suicide hotlines. So you go to a town, have a few suicides, and then they go, oh, we need a suicide hotline. So they put suicide hotline signs in, and the suicides go up. A little weird, huh? No, because the world is attention. Jonathan Peugeot has tried to explain to people, and that matters a lot. It matters a lot. Call attention to suicide and ask people if they've thought about it. Well, that's the same as saying, don't think of a teddy bear. Whatever you do, don't think of a teddy bear. Are these people stupid? I've known this trick since I was young. Don't think of a teddy bear. Duh. Don't do that. Some things need to remain private. Oh, sometimes I harken back to the time I was on mushrooms and I had a heroic journey. What? No. Don't tell people that. What is wrong with you? Why would you do that? Can harken back to the Matrix. What was said is for you and you alone. Yeah. They play with this public private thing in that movie quite a bit. I didn't talk about it in my Matrix live stream quite so much, but you go back and watch this public private situation. And this idea of, granted, when you're in a relationship with somebody people know, this idea that that private relationship causes a jealousy because somebody held back their private feelings. At least that's what's implied. And that causes a betrayal. How interesting. And it's the thing with these sorts of things. We don't have discernment for the public versus the private, but we should. And what should be private? And there's all kinds of contributing factors to this particular problem, right? There's these ways in which we don't want forbidden knowledge. We don't want anything to be on a censored or banned list. Some things need to be censored and banned. It becomes a real issue when you talk about Mein Kampf. Everybody wants to ban that book. And they're worried about Catcher in the Rye. Well, you should be. First of all, it's not particularly good literature. I hate to say it, but it's not good literature. I mean, I read it, but also, wasn't too impressed. It's fascinating to people who are borderline schizophrenic for obvious reasons, but or who have other mental ailments. But that's not good. Don't think about a teddy bear. Whatever you do, don't think about a teddy bear. That's not a plus. I told you not to think about the damn teddy bear. What's wrong with you? Don't you listen? You don't know what you're up to. That's the problem. And you don't know what other people are up to. But you think because you have better access to their private lives that you do. And it's all an illusion. We need the private. We need things to be kept from us. Because you thought about the damn teddy bear again, didn't you? That should have been kept from you, the fact of the teddy bear. Otherwise, you're going to keep thinking about it. Even though I told you not to think, why is this hard for you? We need the private, and we need private things to stay hidden, to stay private. Which ones? Well, that's a hard question, but let's get the discernment first. People who are sneaky like to fool you by pretending as though you can't take the first step because the second step is too hard. I was like, well, yeah, if you run past the first step and you try to solve the second step without even agreeing that the first step exists and what the shape of it is and getting on the same step with the other person, the second step is damn near impossible. I agree. Also, that's a trick, and those people are not good people. I mean, they may not be intentionally malicious, but I'm a pragmatist. I couldn't care less what you think your intent is, much less what your intent actually is. It doesn't matter at all to me. Pragmatism for the win. Maybe next week we'll do pragmatism, and I can explain what pragmatism is and why it's so effective. It's not pragmatic for you to share your private life in public. I don't care if you're going through something that other people need to know other people go through. That needs to be shared privately, not publicly. One of the problems of sharing things with people publicly is that you have to cater to an audience. It's already not for whoever's watching. My live streams are not for the people watching. They're for a theoretical audience. I have no idea if I'm hitting my audience. I have no idea how well my live streams are getting through the points I want to make. It's all just practice and guessing for me. I'm okay with that. That's part of the mission here. And I think it's important because we all have to try and do things and get somebody. And I know to some extent that they're effective in the way that makes me happy enough, we'll say. Makes me feel like the goal is being accomplished. That's why they've been going on for so long. These are not new. And so that's important. But only I know that. No one who's gotten some help from my videos is publicly saying, oh, this is the help that I got. This is what was it, that's not happening. They might be doing that in private. That's where it's most useful. Oh, you're struggling with this? Oh, I was struggling with that too. Let me introduce you to a channel that helped me. Maybe it will help you. You don't need somebody out there broadcasting because then it's advertising, right? Like, this channel will help you if you have depression. What? How do you know? You don't know that person you're talking to. You've never met them. Likely never will meet them. So some things need to remain private. This issue of forbidden knowledge is covered in Plato's Republic. Nobody ever talks about it. They only talk about parts of the book they're wrong about for some weird reason, or they skip over the ending of the book. I don't know why. Something's going on there. But forbidden knowledge is required. It's important. Private things need to remain private. Otherwise, you'll think about that teddy bear or suicide. And yeah, there's a time for revealing, and some things that are private need revealing, and that's discernment. But first, let's get to the agreement that private exists. Then we can discuss where the line of private and public exists. Let's just take the first step first, because it's really important. You can't sit there and cry free speech and then understand the difference between public and private, because it's a similar problem. Where is the line? There has to be a line. The biggest free speech proponents in the world don't like say, oh, he's inciting to violence. Don't lock him up. It's free speech. I've never heard anyone say that. Not anyone who say supported that, but then didn't support other free speech, because that's what they do. They go, oh, no, my speech should be free, or the speech I like should be free, but everybody else's speech should be censored. That's what they do. And the thing is, if you deal with that one person, you can see that flaw in them. You can see that they're lying. You can see it. But you have to not get confused by, oh, well, this group. Okay, but we were talking about one person. And if one person continually flip-flops on a number of issues, they're not reliable. They're dangerous. Maybe they're intentional and maybe they're not, but I don't care. Intentional towards what? Their intention could switch every 10 minutes. That happens. I've met people like that. It's scary. They exist, though. You got to be careful with that. You need discernment of public and private. You need to think carefully about what you tell people. You need to not advertise AIDS drugs on freaking TV. What are we doing? That is a violation of the proper demarcation for public and private. I don't even want to know that there are people taking AIDS drugs that need to be told, be careful who you partner up with, and don't forget to tell them. I thought this was all done away with a long time ago. I was happier when my brain was not overloaded with this information. Making everything public causes more cognitive load. It causes a flood of information and destroys your ability to discern. It's not good for you. It's not good for everybody else. It's not even good for the person doing it. It gives them a certain amount of power over the rest of the world, though. Maybe they're doing it for power, probably. But they're not doing it for the good, because it's not good. That's the problem. It's not good. We can't even discern public and private. How are we supposed to discern good and bad? Maybe keeping something private is neither good nor bad, which is fine by me because there's a neutral state. That's for sure. We're between heaven and earth. What do you think that is? Not heaven and it's not earth. That's why we're bringing heaven down to earth. Well, dragging earth up towards heaven. It's not that hard. There's a middle ground. But we got to draw the line first before we can identify that middle ground. Keep your private stuff private. Share it with only in private with the people that need it. I'm not against, we'll say, group therapy or Alcoholics Anonymous, but also predators go there too because they know that's where you can get more prey. It's not all upside. Very dangerous. The world is a dangerous place. And you need a private place to be, private place to go, private things to have that are your own. So that you don't feel scrutinized all the time. It's very emotionally draining. A lot of celebrities take their lives because they don't have any privacy. You need a private life. You need people that you can discuss private things with. Privately, though. You don't need to be on some YouTube channel talking about the rash you have in the place. That's not good. That should be private. You should share that with people that your relationship is such that they can handle that they're willing to handle that. You don't want to force this on other people, but some people do want to force it on other people. And hopefully this gives you a little bit of discernment to see when people are doing that. Scott Adams didn't want to die alone. Well, I got news for you, buddy. You sucked at creating close relationships with people. That's why you ended up with cats. And you got your books and your money. That's fantastic. Good for you. I guess. And you got your get out of jail free card at the end. Maybe, although I don't think so. And you got everybody praising you for it because they're all stupid somehow. And they see that as a win? No wonder the new atheists did so well. Christian apologists are about the dumbest people on the planet most of the time. It's just terrible. Terrible. Charlie Kirk was a martyr. Oh my goodness. Anybody who publicly proclaimed they were a Christian or a believer in Jesus or whatever, they're all martyrs when they die? Or they're all martyrs if they're killed? Like what? I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense to me. This is why you lose the argument, because your argument is wrong and it's dumb. You lose the argument because you're stuck in the materialism. You're stuck in the binary frame. You're stuck not drawing the lines clearly between public and private. And that's all I have for you on that topic, unless you have questions. Ixnon, yes, y'all is a necessary upgrade. Yeah, the plural form of you is drastically missing from the English language. Y'all fixes that. It's great. Ixnon, more private equals more authentic equals more connection equals more empathy. Well, it's not more empathy, it's more intimacy. And the idea of empathy is a flip. So the people asking for empathy are doing so either so they get more of your attention or so that you agree with their ideological position. And there's no other times people use empathy. That's it. Which is a good tell for why it's a bogus psyop word. The only proper use for empathy is something that a mother has for a child under the age of 5. After that, empathy is no longer possible. I've gone over that before. I can go over it again if it's unclear, but Denise, we just want someone to do something. Yeah. Especially when you appeal to empathy, you've emotionally tied the person to the event, an unknown event in most cases. Like, who is this person who's a single mom, and are they a single mom for a good reason? Maybe. Did they do it to themselves? In other words, because some people do, right? Did they move away from their family? Like, what happened? Why should I feel badly about the situation? Are they a drug addict? Because I ain't gonna feel bad. Sorry, it's not gonna happen. We want someone to do something because now our emotions are invested in this other thing that we actually know nothing about. Yeah, in steps the government to make everything worse, because that's generally what they specialize in. Ixnay, public solutions to private problems. Right. Well, there's a pattern that I've noticed with all the so-called modern philosophers, which, are all garbage sophists. They all have a private problem that shows up in a biography of them, sometimes their own autobiography. And then you can see that their so-called philosophy, the books they've written, whatever, are just them trying to solve that problem, but at the cultural layer instead of in their own private world. That's the public-private confusion right there. Right? Nietzsche had a miserable life. Obviously, if somebody has a miserable life, don't follow their philosophy. That would be kind of dumb. This is why pragmatism is for the win. Every time, pragmatism for the win. He's trying to work something out. But then when you find out about his life, you can see quite clearly what it was he was trying to work out. Why? Heidegger's kind of the same way, by the way. It's all these guys are the same. Father, so nice to see you.
I hope I'm not the same as Heidegger.
No. And who's that other idiot? Kierkegaard. Kierkegaard is the Luther of Lutheranism. It's that simple. His entire, quote, philosophy is just him being the Luther of Lutheranism. Denise, and yet public persons are not permitted privacy. No, they are permitted privacy. The problem is because we don't understand hierarchy, we call them public persons instead of giving them titles. All right. If they just had freaking titles, then we'd know how to relate to them in public when we meet them. And then we'd understand that there's a difference between them in public. Like I could guess through magic, not because I know directly or anything, that Father Eric doesn't always wear his collar. And sometimes when he and maybe a random friend are in DC walking around, he doesn't wear his collar because he's in tourist mode. This is just speculation on my part or something. But Ixnay, how do people know that it doesn't do any harm? Yeah, this is the individualism really causes people to speculate about the world and about what's harmful and what's not, and all this. But yeah, it causes many problems. Please, Father, enlighten us.
Yeah. So we could imagine a scenario where we've got a seminarian who's thinking about being a priest and is not able to at all navigate this public versus private distinction that you've been regaling us with. That would be a formation issue, because if you think it's bad enough when there's some rando on YouTube with 700 subscribers oversharing, like imagine a priest, yeah. So that's something that you need to be quite adept with if you are in ministry, because it's both, you've got the part where you got to discern, like, how do I talk about this sin from the pulpit, and so if you've ever heard me talk about a tray of brownies, right, in relation to the virtue of temperance, that's like, well, that's a pretty relatable thing, right? Like everybody's been at the potluck. Anybody can see me attack a brownie. That's public information right there, you know? So it's a great way to talk about temperance. And this was, in fact, the rule of the fathers of the church is that if you ever need to talk about temperance, you need an example, go to food first. Food is public. We share food all the time. It's like, it's perfect. It just makes perfect sense there. And, you know, anybody who really needs lessons and applications for other areas of their life in temperance, they're going to just need to do a little bit of that work themselves, you know,
Right.
just a little bit of understanding, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one part, and then it's also, you know, in ministry, you've got to cultivate your private circle, right? Like people that you'll share, you know, things a little more intimate than struggles with a tray of brownies with. That's an important thing to do, and the most useful thing, right? Most useful thing for me is my spiritual director and my friendship with other priests and the confessional, you know, and those are kind of the best places for me to get that, you know, those things that ought to remain private, those needs attended to, because, you know, we do want the intimacy, but I can't be intimate with, you know, 400 people listening to me preach. Like that's just
Right.
it's not what we're doing there.
Right. Well, and we're trading that depth for breadth.
Yeah.
More people instead of you know 4 good friends, we have 200 Facebook friends.
Yeah. No. Oh. Yeah. No. But I mean, it's a logical trade off when you're preaching, right? It's like, well,
Right.
I can talk to all 400 of these people right here, but the things I'm going to be able to tell them are now limited if I'm going to do my job well. Otherwise, I'm just going to make everybody in the church uncomfortable, and you don't want to be that guy. At least I don't want to be that guy. Maybe you do. I don't think you do though.
No, I don't. Nice. It's always a question in your mind, huh, Father? Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, and it is that that sense that because we don't know the public and the private, we don't know other people's struggles, we just kind of assume they don't have them. You know, it's like because
Right. And, you know, like some of that's just like a sort of agnosticism where, you know, if I'm dealing with somebody at the dry cleaner, like, hell, you know, like maybe they're going to start opening up to me because this signals that sometimes. And
yeah.
So that's a part of my life. But a lot of times it's like, well, I don't need to know how you ended up working here at the dry cleaner. You know, I'm just you just print the receipt and tell me when I'm gonna come pick this up. It's just how it is, you know.
Yeah, and is that oversharing causes that social awkwardness and really stretches the social fiber, and then people don't want to go out in public, and and then they don't, there's a group of people on the other side. They think if someone says hi, that's too much for them.
Yeah.
It overwhelms them immediately. And I'm like, really? Wow. They're a stranger. It's like, well, fair enough, but also like pretty benign. They're just looking for an opening. You could do something about that. And yeah, I mean, and you don't know who struggles with that on which side. Like maybe they struggle oversharing, maybe they struggle with other people just saying hi, right? Maybe they struggle with brownies, like both of us do. Yeah. And people don't appreciate that because they think they have enough information to draw all these conclusions about things like motivation and whether or not the person led a good life, right? I mean, one of the problems with Charlie Kirk is, oh well, you can't criticize his wife because he chose her. It's like, yeah, but do you know why he chose her or what he was thinking? Or maybe she needed a lot of work and he knew that. He was willing to put in that work, and she, and now he's dead and she's taking over something that she's not ready for or was never going to be ready for.
Is there some controversy that I'm not into? Oh, okay.
All over the place. Well, yeah, you can't criticize Erica Kirk because Charlie chose her and he's a martyr. Obviously. Duh. Don't you know logic, Father? This is the danger of logic.
I do know logic. That's why.
This is the danger of logic. Well, no, I mean, that's a logical argument. It's not logically incorrect or inconsistent. It's just wrong.
Yeah.
This is different.
There's
It
a
starts from a
hidden
bad
premise
actor.
there. Yeah, we've got a hidden premise there we've got to draw out.
Exactly.
Because I
Well,
mean,
because
like, what I
logic
think would be
doesn't.
a more probable explanation is that he chose her to be his wife, and that's a role,
Raise his kids and
raise
be at home
kids, build a
and
family
support him,
together. Yeah, like
and
that's
and not to take over his mantle when he's gone.
right. Yeah, like that's not logically implied. Some people might be up to that, but like not automatically. Anyway, I don't want
Yeah.
to know any more about this controversy.
Now, and yeah, the Scott Adams thing, and it's all
Now,
these
Scott
people.
Adams thing, like I saw that and I was like, I don't know. I'm not competent to judge that case. God alone competent to judge that case, whether or not that is sufficient contrition and all of that. What I will say is that if his very cynically worded act of contrition was sufficient for the Lord, he's going to have a long time in purgatory still.
Yeah.
Like he's got
Yeah.
a long time just on that first ring of pride right there, because that, yeah. So
He's
anyway,
very
like
selfish.
I said a prayer, like Lord, I hope that one worked, but that's not what I would recommend.
Well, then we can't, because we don't know public from private and where we end and other things begin. People actually can't see the fact that what he was doing was selfish and self-serving and narcissistic. They can't even see it. I tell them and they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "Did you read what he wrote? Did you do you not understand the words he's using and what he?" And they don't. They don't. They see it as fine. And I don't understand why. I'm like, "Why is this confusing?" These are his private thoughts that are only related to him. They're not related to actions of the past. They're not related to being sorry, right? They're not related to admission of having ever done anything wrong ever, right? They're not related to patching things up. They're not related to making things better. It's just, well, you know what? I ran the numbers and it turns out if I just do this, then that's a good bet for me. Like, what? Like, it's hedonism right up to the end. Like, how did this happen?
Yeah. No, if there was I would be much more ironic about the whole situation if he had called in a priest, or even a minister, even a Protestant minister, and had some sort of official interaction with it. So,
But the
I'm not in full despair, but
Mm.
I don't think the church is going to be opening his cause anytime soon. So,
Yeah, the number of people that see this as a win, and I'm like, narcissistically publicly signaling that you're selfish and the math works out, so you might as well do this just before you die. That really seems like a lose to me. That just seems like you lost all the arguments in perpetuity at that point. And also Luther, this is part of what Luther was critiquing.
yeah, especially the abuse of indulgences was at its worst in Germany. So,
Yep.
no surprise that that's where the Protestant revolt began and has its most firm foothold. I mean, that's a thing you can find people falling into really easily as well. It's just sort of a over materialization of these spiritual things.
Yeah.
On my live stream, I talked about blessing the water and blessing the salt. And I sent people home with whole things of exercised salt, and that's a thing people can have. But with the quantities that some of them brought, I'm like, are they cooking with it? Because that's not really the point. Like,
It might be.
it's yeah, I'm yeah. So anyway, that would be like a sign of like Father, I really want you to soak me in oil when I'm getting confirmed, because more oil will mean I get more Holy Spirit. Like, well, it's not
Yeah.
that's not quite how it works, right? It's like
Right.
just a little bit of oil uh, has the sign effect that's needed for a valid sacrament, all that. So, but it's really easy to fall into that. It's like if I say a rosary every day, I'll get 5 sanctifying grace points every time. Like, oh, no, but quality is a bit of a difficult thing to think about sometimes. So, but all of these graces are qualitative, entitative habits, in the words of the Council of Trent. So,
But we're stuck in the reign of propositional tyranny. And
I mean, maybe you are, but I'm not. I've been
well,
freed by Jesus Christ, so
okay,
I've got that
that's great.
advantage.
Good news. That is in fact the good news. Yeah. I meant the royal we, but yeah, a lot of people are trapped in the reign of the propositional tyranny. And propositions are just terrible at talking about quality. I mean, you can use a word like beauty, but if you start asking a question like how beautiful is that flower, and it doesn't even work in relativism. Like relativism doesn't save you. Like relativism saves you in quantity. Yeah, it helps. Relativism doesn't help at all. When you're talking about, is this flower more beautiful than this other flower? Because when people do that to me, I'm like, I don't understand how you're using language, but clearly you're confused. You've overstepped the bounds of proposition.
Right, and when we have to use words to describe qualities, we instantly become poetic.
Mhm.
In our language there.
Right.
That's not an accident.
Nope.
That's by design. We've got to start really playing with the words, ordering them ordering them in that perfect balance of expected and unexpected usages,
Using
and
lyric,
and
using
phrasing.
rhyme, using
Yeah,
meter, using other things other than just propositions to
yeah.
try to convey something that propositions are just too flat. They can't do the work.
Mhm. Yeah, so things just instantly become complicated, which is the way of things. So,
That's why we need discernment. No one's having that discussion yet. It's like, no, the discussion you need to have is discernment. We need to be able to discern things. And I think part of the lost formation, um, because we've outsourced everything to this mystical education psyop thing, is discernment. Somebody has to form your discernment. And maybe they do a poor job, but man, at least they're doing something.
mhm.
And these other people are not, and when
I
you don't
mean,
have it
well,
formed, it's bad.
here's maybe an interesting way to think about it. Let's an attempt anyway. I don't know how I learned how to be good with money.
Mhm.
Right now, I've never been in like extraordinary debt. I actually looked at my credit score today. It's very good. It's not excellent. I don't think my income's high enough for it to be excellent, but it is very good, because it's just, and like the value of not taking on excessive debt, of paying off credit cards, living within my means. Like, I don't know how those were communicated to me.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like, I don't remember sitting down and learning a procedure. Now, surely my old man told us about money. Um, Surely he did, and there were conversations around that. Um, but it was probably, there was something more important underneath that. Long range planning, and the fundamental belief that there's no free lunch. Um,
Mm.
like that might be it right there. That right there, like to be able to have this capacity to discern. I could line myself up in a lot of debt and have something now, but that's going to pay off. That I'm going to need to pay off later. Like, that's a really fundamental lesson you've got to be able to get. Um, all that to say that this discernment around money, like the way I was formed into that, was not a matter of just sitting down and reading Dave Ramsey's book. Although I
Right.
did do that, and maybe
Mhm.
that was like a nice negative image of
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't want to be the guy who needs this book. So
Right.
my dad just had it lying around, and I had no idea why he owned that book, because he's the last human being on earth that needs Dave Ramsey.
Yeah.
But he had it lying around, and I picked it up. So all that to say that this training and discernment, it's sort of like Aristotle talking about prudence, where it's like, well, if you want to know what prudence is, go find somebody who's prudent and just watch them.
Yeah.
It's like that's basically his explanation, because it's like there's no rule. There's no rule,
Can't codify it in language.
Yeah. Well, I don't. Hopefully that was helpful. But I think my sense of public and private was also formed in the same way, and I can't tell you how I did it. So this YouTube channel is only going to be so useful for you.
Yeah, that's part of the problem, but it does. The more I've thought about public versus private and the vast confusion and all the second order effects that it leads to, like the Minnesota daycare scandal is the same thing. You're just presuming there's all these private issues that people have around daycare, that they need help with childcare, and it just turns out they're not there. It's just a money laundering scam, right? Anyway, fair enough, but and some people maybe some people need that, but there's probably better alternatives that we need to focus on, rather than having the government try to solve a problem that the government's never going to be good at solving. Because it might lead to tens of millions of dollars of fraud, like instantly, and in all cases, right?
Mhm.
Or just the majority of it. Like, how much money should we pay to help a handful of people get daycare? Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm not saying it's zero, but I don't know what it is. Someone's
Mhm.
got to figure it out and draw a line somewhere.
Mhm.
Not drawing the line just means lots of fraud that we can't actually afford, by the way. So, that might
No,
be
the government could just print more money. That's fine.
Yeah. Until they can't.
That's never happened before.
Oh yeah, it has. It's happened twice in this country.
Oh,
yeah. JP Morgan bailed out the US government twice.
JP Morgan. Okay. Wow. How about that? That's a little historical tidbit I'm encountering today.
Yeah.
Join me, friends. Join me as I encounter historical tidbits.
Yeah. No, it's people don't know, but yeah, the central bank comes from somewhere, and it comes from a need that we ran into twice, that had to be resolved, and that's why we have a central bank. It's not magic. It's, we keep making this mistake, we better get a backstop. And they did, and it's effectively a public-private partnership.
Mm-hmm.
For good or for ill is a different discussion, and maybe
that's a lot of numbers. You got to know a lot of numbers to be in that discussion. Well, I hate numbers.
And maybe it was good for a long time and then became corrupt, because that seems like the pattern of everything. And that's the problem. But we don't want to get cynical like our friend Jan God here. Life is not a pyramid scheme. That's video game thinking there. It's the single digit IQ way of thinking about the world. This is the well, it was funny too. I read, somebody wrote an article, it was probably a year or two now since I read it, and he basically said, yeah, a lot of these atheist arguments boil down to, well, the tube of toothpaste will eventually be empty, and therefore the toothpaste tube has no value. And it's like, yeah, that is pretty much the new atheist argument. The heat death of the universe, and therefore I win. It's like, what are you talking? You can't really be that dumb. I guess you can. Also, could you shut up if you're that dumb? Like, you want stupid people to talk in private. You don't want stupid people to talk in public. That's part of the problem. And make their stupidity known. I mean, my mother had this whole thing of, it's better to keep one's mouth shut and be thought a fool than to open it and remove all doubt.
She got that from Mark Twain, who got it from the Bible.
Oh, if you say so. I don't know where any of that came from.
That's Book of Proverbs Book of Proverbs might be the best book about cultivating prudence and wisdom.
Hmm.
It can only do you so much, but like it's there, man. Like it's got all of everything that could possibly help.
Yeah.
Want to just grab a proverb?
Yeah,
Want to
yeah.
just grab one?
Sure, grab one, Father. That would be lovely. I like that idea. We'll just
Got
grab one.
our Knox version of the Bible here.
Knox version.
It's
Yeah.
Ronald Knox. He was an Anglican convert to Catholicism.
Mm.
Absolute. Just
I don't
he's
know.
the best. He's the
Bible
best.
should be private to the clergy. It
You
shouldn't
think
be read
so?
by everybody. The clergy should bring that wisdom down to the people in private or semi-private as needed.
Well, then I'll find a good passage here, and I'll make sure that it's appropriate for our stream.
Excellent. If you can manage such a thing, you don't know who's going to watch. Proverbs, though, is the most generic of the conveyances contained within that tome. What do we got, Father? What do we got?
Men owe their lives to truthful witnesses. The very breath of the perjurer is treason.
Ooh. I like that. Ooh, a justice quote. I love justice quotes.
Yeah.
They always favor my position and justify my murderous rage. Excellent.
And then here's a good one. Here's a good one for like how there is no rule, right? Of the beggar, his own neighbors grow weary. Wealth never lacks friends. Shame on the man who holds his neighbor in contempt. Mercy to the poor brings a blessing.
Hmm.
It's
I
like,
like
hey,
it.
both of these things are true, right? Your beggar friend, he's going to be really annoying. You need to treat him mercifully anyway. Make sure he doesn't starve or freeze.
Yeah. Ixnan's got it right. If you're going to read the Bible in public, Proverbs is probably the best. That sounds about right.
What do we mean by in public? It's always been read in the liturgy.
But this
like
is
a section.
public.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you see, the thing is, and this is what annoys me. People don't understand filters. So
okay, there's a filter. We're in church. We're with the people who are here for church, who are all looking at me and deciding that I'm authority.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Big set of filters, right?
Yeah.
Big set. So it's not truly public, and we never define public correctly because we don't. Right? When you're ignoring hierarchy, it's really hard to define public and private because, is 30 people public? It depends on the 30 people. It could be private. It could be public. Because it's not how you determine public. It's not a materialist thing. You can't count it, right? It's all filters, and that's why I don't like street preachers, because it's like, no, dude, what are you doing? You're bound to make a mess. Ixnan is clarifying on the internet. I think you're generally correct, Ixnan. I think in general that's a good. So I mean, if you're gonna be a street preacher, just read Proverbs. That's probably better than what they normally do, which is fire and brimstone or Jesus is your buddy or whatever.
Yeah, and you might really catch somebody who needs to hear that, right?
Well, that's the thing. The thing is, you'll catch them, but what are they actually caught by? And how long are they caught for? And will it have the right impact? Right? Because those are all concerns that that people don't take into account. And Denise is thoroughly postmodern, except when the beggar has a known income that is twice your own, and he's broke because he buys scratch tickets and shops at the convenience store instead of the supermarket. Denise, you're rewriting the story. Very postmodern. That wasn't the story we told. I understand you have a personal beef with somebody. Thanks for bringing your private into our public.
Oh, Mark, you're not allowed to do that.
People have no discernment. Although Denise is generally pretty good. Yeah, I mean, that's more, how do you determine a proper beggar from an improper beggar? Because your silly book was assuming proper beggar. You could tell.
Yeah, right. Which back in the day, they didn't have our extraordinary material power and were not flooded with food. Look, man, back in the day, poor people were not fat.
That's right. That's right. That's
Like,
good.
here we are. Here we are.
Well, and if you were
look
skinny,
at the society we've built.
If you were skinny and you weren't dressed well, you were assumed to be poor.
Yeah.
His hierarchy is real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ixnay, most street preachers are trying to flood the world. It's a good observation. I like that. Denise, the Bible does not speak of convenience store prices, does it? I don't think so.
It does speak
Father,
of usury.
Can you confirm or deny whether or not?
Honestly, there might be something in the book of Proverbs about shopping around for a good price and not jumping at the first opportunity you see. There's probably something in there about that. There were no doubt always people who were going to charge you for convenience.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Joey, I once met a priest that I couldn't discern from any other priest. He called himself Father Generic. I like it.
Father Generic.
I like it. Yeah, people.
I think he's a consultant for Hollywood, right? Father
Probably.
Generic,
Father Generic. I love it. I love it. That could be. Yeah. This inability to do this public-private distinction and the appropriateness is largely wrapped up in this lack of hierarchy and hierarchical discernment. And I mean, I was thinking about it today, how brilliant it was that Peterson was able to get away with saying, no, hierarchy is real. It's older than trees. There's nothing you can do about it. And then linking hierarchy to neuroscience and to things like depression. It's like, that was a hell of a move. When you think about it, talk about a masterstroke of reintroducing a difficult topic that absolutely nobody, wants to discuss. And then when you destroy this hierarchy and you make things equal, you get the convenience store problem. But I like the way you put it. Like, oh yeah, don't buy the first thing you see, right? The most pleasing thing, which is also that's what convenience stores are, right? They're very pleasing. That's why you can have a convenience store. So where I was in Marlborough, there's a convenience store at the bottom of my street. I almost never shop there. Almost never. And then further away for sure, but within a quarter of a mile was a grocery store. So if I wanted milk, I could walk to the grocery store. That was perfectly well within my option range. And when I didn't have a car, because occasionally I'd go without a car for very long periods of time, months, I'd walk to the grocery store. I could get my groceries and I'd walk back. And that was fine. Like, it wasn't a big deal. But a lot of people go for the convenience, but they don't realize how much money you're paying for that convenience.
Yeah.
That's what a convenience store is. It's a store that charges you for convenience. And people don't. It's weird. I mean, they're not hiding the ball. They're telling you, we're selling convenience. Come in and buy some. It's really expensive.
Right. And when I'm on a road trip, buying a Monster and a Pearson salted nut roll at a convenience store isn't going to blow my budget, right?
Right.
But if I was getting my milk and my eggs there every week, daggone, man, that's no way to live.
Yeah. It's nice to have convenience stores off the highway when you're driving to Florida or New England or whatever. We use those for sure. I did have a Reese's peanut butter cup. I'm like, I want one of these. I couldn't get any form, even at Buc-ee's, which Buc-ee's is I love Buc-ee's and I hate Buc-ee's at the same time. I couldn't get any form of Rice Krispie treat because they were just loaded with bads. I'm like, can it just be rice and marshmallows? Is it possible to just? And the problem is you can't even buy marshmallows anymore. They're all infected with extra ingredients that make everybody ill. So, yeah. But man, having that convenient candy bar place.
There's a time and a place for it, but It ain't every day. Yes. I mean, isn't that like an
There we go.
inconvenience store? That was first off, that was a Far Side comic. I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
But second off, like that's kind of like a liquidator, isn't it? Like a liquidation store. It's like,
Liquidation store.
we don't know if what you want's going to be here, and you might be very inconvenienced by coming in because you don't have what you want, but you'll get it for cheap, So
That's a good point. They are
Yeah.
kind of inconvenience stores. So guess how much a Reese's peanut butter cups cost at a random gas station
are
between
we talking
South Carolina-
2-pack, 4-pack?
Just two.
I'm going to go ahead and say $2.99.
$2.85. Very close. Well done. For two. For a regular old-fashioned twofer. Yep. And I was just like, really? $2.85, huh? Well, whatever.
Like you could get a whole box full at a inconvenience store for like $12 probably, and get like 30. I don't know. I'm making numbers up, but yeah. It's how the business works, and the business works because they're all over the place.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Denise, people today have been conditioned against planning. I don't know if you have to condition anybody against planning. You can just offer them convenience and they'll stop planning whether they know how or not. I have to cross town and take 2 buses to get my groceries. My goodness, Denise, that's awful. But I always do it, shop once a month, occasionally twice. Yeah, I mean, if you're going to take 2 buses, how do you carry all those groceries? My goodness.
I
I had
mean,
to set up a
if you're just
pantry
dropping for
system.
yourself, it's not quite so.
I don't know, man. I mean, when I was in Brookline, we did have a grocery store, like a small local grocery store right down the street, but it didn't have any of the stuff that I needed most of the time. So I walked. I guess the nearest grocery store was. Was that a mile? I think it was a mile. So occasionally I'd walk a mile to get. I mean, I had a car, so mostly I drove, but occasionally I'd walk. But I could never carry a week's worth of groceries home. That was a bit much. Denise bought a little pull cart. Yeah, that makes more sense. I could have done it with a pull cart. When I was in Marlboro a couple times, I was like, I should just get a pull cart. Now I don't have to take the car down to the grocery store. I can just walk the whole thing. But I never did that. But I did occasionally have to walk to the to the grocery store. There were a few times I was out a car for weeks or months at a time. Joey, marshmallows only last 2 to 4 weeks without preservatives. We deliver stuff in 2 days. Like, why is this a problem? Rice Krispies are an abomination against the natural order. Where are you getting that from?
I mean, most of our breakfast cereals are a abomination against the natural order. However, when you add an abomination on top of an abomination, you get an overflow error and it becomes good again.
Exactly. There we go. Well expressed. Well and truly expressed like a computer person. I love it.
Yeah, I couldn't remember how to describe when you multiply 2 negative numbers together and you get a positive. So I went with overflow error instead.
I like overflow error much better anyway, because that's exactly what happens in computers. Denise, I had good cooking skills and recently learned dairy production. Yes, making all my yogurt, butter, cheese, whey, buttermilk, caramel. Yeah, I saw some of those videos, Denise. That's fascinating. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, I'm not going to make Sarah do that. Although she's probably going to make marshmallows at some point so she can make Rice Krispie treats for me since we can't buy them anywhere. And Buc-ee's is such a nightmare of like food additives. There's like 2 things in the whole store we can ever eat. And they're delicious.
Sorry, we're talking about Buc-ee's a lot. Is that not like just a giant gas station convenience store?
It's really not. It's actually a monument to the excesses of capitalism.
Okay.
Like, you're just
that's why people
describing it as a really big gas station, but it's an enormous gas station with an enormous convenience store that has all kinds of crazy stuff. Like, I took a picture actually. Well, I posted it. I posted it on the server. posted on the Discord server. And basically they have a Buc-ee's truck full of Buc-ee's plush toys and Buc-ee's stuff. And I was like, well, no, I mean, this is because I was showing it to Gustavs, who's European. He couldn't possibly understand. Like you can't understand Buc-ee's. Like you have to go to Buc-ee's.
Okay.
And be
So it's
horrified.
bigger than Quick Trip then. Got it. A lot
it's
bigger than
bigger
Quick Trip.
anything.
Yeah.
They have like 45 gas pumps at these things or something. Like it's insane. The parking lot is enormous. They have gridlock coming in and out of these things at certain times a day. It's completely off of the hook nuts, and it's basically a small Walmart aside from all these gas pumps, and they're insane.
And it's getting Costco energy.
Yes.
Interesting.
Well, and they advertise. So like they have a sign outside of, I think it's in New York City or outside of New York, 467 miles this way to Buc-ee's, because they don't have any up north, and they have billboards everywhere, and they're just advertising Buc-ee's all over the place. It's really funny.
That's interesting. That's so like why? I don't know why. I don't need to know why.
It's a phenomena. But it is. It's actually a monument to the excesses of capitalism. Like absolutely. Right. And American travel culture, which is just booming lately.
Which I love Quick Trip, right? Because and our friend Joey here knows all about Quick Trip. And I bet you a big Quick Trip's gonna have 24 gas pumps. That's a big one right there. But they always have, like fresh fruit. You pay a lot for it, but like if you're on day 3 of a road trip and you're sick of processed food, it's really nice to have like fresh fruit and an okay slice of cheese. They've got good food and drinks there. Joey, the Free State of Buc-ee's seeded from Texas in 1992 and established colonies across the southern U.S. That is a very accurate description. Young God Lol, did YouTube auto censor a comment of mine regarding the food chain? Yes, probably. YouTube's pretty evil. Denise, is actually fun, not a lot of work. You just have to keep an eye on it. So move your computer to the kitchen table and enjoy. Well, yogurt's pretty easy.
I make Sarah do all that work now, so I don't have to. Ixnon, would father sites like to join the Goodwill Hunting Movie Club whenever that ends up being? I know I slipped another week on my Goodwill Hunting Movie Club. I don't know. Are you gonna join us, Father? Did you download the document?
This is the first I'm hearing of a Goodwill Hunting Movie Club.
Oh, you didn't see the last live stream then? Okay.
I did not. I actually I do recall saying that in private that I would be on the last live stream, but then I got invited to a birthday party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't even remember. That's okay.
Yeah. Well,
Ixnon joined me and reminded me of the movie club thing that I keep forgetting. Last week was just busy this past week was busy with Florida trip and eating before we left, which that was one of those trade-offs. I was like, well, I guess this is a trade-off we're going to have to make. And then, the trip back was long and arduous, and we had to stop for oil because something's wrong with the car, we think, which is fine. It's covered under warranty, but also kind of a pain. Shouldn't be burning that much oil. That's for never did that before. Like we go on long trips all the time. It's never burned that much oil. Mm-hmm. And we weren't doing long trips until that one. Mm-hmm. That wasn't even that long. That was just Florida and back. Big deal. So, yeah. But, we're going to do this. I have a document. I got to post it on the Discord server. This is what I forgot to do this week. It was posted on the community page of YouTube and on the Discord server that we're going to do this movie club thing where we all watched a movie. There's a document. You stop it, fill out whatever you notice, and then we have a discussion. But we have to work out, like, are we going to do this online or not? We're just going to do it privately on the Discord server. What day are we going to do it? What time are we going to do it? All that stuff has to be worked out. So
just remember, there's no such thing as a good day.
That is usually
you just got to pick a bad day.
We're probably going to have to go with a weekend. And
well, let me know when it's coming so I don't schedule a book club on that day.
There will be an announcement. Don't worry. I'll probably get to it tomorrow since I'm not super jammed up this week. The only things I have going on are, working on the game projects, playing with my AIs here, which are doing rather well. I'm almost
Sounds
able to test
nice.
Android apps, and focusing on the Manners book, which is coming soon. So yeah, we've just gotta. Oh, look at this.
See,
Ixnay watched the movie and filled out the paper. Oh yeah, of course, gung ho. Good.
I get to drive 4 hours to cover weekend masses. You can drive 4 hours and you're still in my diocese. 'Cause it's just,
That should be illegal.
yeah. Well, there's just hardly anybody here. Like if we had,
I know.
the Diocese of Fargo, the Diocese of Jamestown, the Diocese of Devil's Lake, and the Diocese of Grand Forks, we wouldn't have to drive near as much, but there'd hardly be anybody in the Diocese of Jamestown. So,
The
anyway,
Catholic Church is not built for large open spaces like the United States Midwest.
yeah, it's all we're like we didn't have any like proper dioceses here until the railroads got established.
Right.
Like that
Right.
was the only way to do it. It was all just crazy mission territory before then.
Yeah.
And it's like you send father off, if you're the local vicar apostolic, you send father off and maybe you see him sometime in the next 15 to 20 years. Like just wild stuff. If you ever want to read a really amazing book, it's fictional, but it's only a little bit fictional. Death Comes for the Archbishop by Willa Cather, a fictionalized account of the life of the first Archbishop of Santa Fe. Fascinating read. Absolutely. I need to probably read it again. Really, really incredible stuff. And Willa Cather was Episcopalian, but I felt like she understood Catholicism, which it's a compliment. Compliment to an Episcopalian.
Interesting. Ixnay, U.S. Protestants love crazy missions.
Us Protestants is what he's saying.
Yeah, us Protestants. Sorry. Yes.
Gosh, it's amazing he's friends with you. It's amazing you have any Protestant friends whatsoever.
It's not my fault. They're the original sin of destruction of all the meaning crisis. I didn't do that. Did you see the video that Gustav's posted important videos on the server?
No,
About the materialism. It's really good. Although I don't know, he describes individualism and calls it material. I'm like, this guy just
Bruce Gustav's basically an atheist.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean that happens, man.
Well,
I hate it.
He's very close on language. He goes a little overboard with the materialism and doesn't recognize the individualism at all. And I'm like, no, you're actually describing problems of individualism, not problems of materialism. I can see why you're confused. That's easy. So yeah, it was a good video. It was, it was only 16 minutes. Good watch, I thought. I did want to punch him, but that's because I'm like, I hate it when people are close and they get the simple things wrong. I'm like, why? This is all easier than you're making it out to be. Why are you making this so hard?
Yeah, I think if people are that closely aligned with you, I'll just give you this for consideration. You don't punch them.
I don't know.
Right? If they're that closely, like save the punching for people who are really evil.
That hasn't worked out at all. Nobody wants me to punch evil people. Like this is another Protestant thing. Like the more evil the person, the less you're supposed to do against them. But if they're in your church and they get one word out of line, forget it. You got to go after that person. I mean, they're very much like that. It's really depressing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we need to use the penal section in the Code of Canon Law a little bit more. So a
Joey
blue
loves
heart.
something. I don't know what, but yeah, it's amazing the inversion. That whole idea of preferring the far away. There's people starving in Africa. Forget about my needy neighbor who needs help with his roof. It's just so Protestant.
Well,
So,
yeah, I mean that's just the preference for the distant and the abstract is just like, well, concrete things are prickly and difficult to manage, whereas the stuff that exists inside your head, because that's what starving children in Africa are to me. So they mostly just exist inside my head. And that's just a limitation of living in North Dakota. Um,
yeah. Yeah.
uh, that's just a lot easier and more convenient. The starving children in Africa are always so grateful to me, and they never give me any problems. So,
Well, but it's also a function of the materialism, right? Because they're more impoverished. And so taking care of them is more piety for me, right? It's very
plus 5 piety points.
Exactly. Way more piety points for that and not prickly, right? Both. So it's a double bonus, right? Denise, when my daughter was 3 years old, she saw through that argument. There you go.
Oh
Well,
boy, I wonder where she got that from.
yeah, I don't know why. She must have been well formed when she was brought up by someone, Denise. Must have been well formed. She asked me exactly how eating her own dinner would help them. Sarah and I, we joke about this all the time. Sarah's tiny, so sometimes she doesn't, she just makes too much food. And sometimes she makes too much food for me, which is dangerous because I'm a glutton and I'll eat everything. I don't need starving kids in Africa. I just need my own inability at controlling my appetite, which is significant. But I'll be like, there are no starving kids in Africa. Don't worry about it. Just throw out the food you're not going to eat. It'll be fine. And then she always laughs because we both grew up with that, like big time. Yeah. It was such a part of, and you could make the argument we both grew up in the Merrimack Valley or something, but it's not like we grew up in the same town or anything.
And it's not like that was in A Christmas Story and everybody instantly recognized it.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? It was in A Christmas Story,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody knows that there's,
Be grateful. There are kids in Africa that are starving. They don't have anything.
I also can, having witnessed it on multiple occasions, sympathize with parents who are trying anything and everything to actually get their children to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. Well. Denise, then there was the time she thought about her grandfather's favorite saying, more than one way to skin a cat. Yeah, well. Mommy, why would anyone want to skin a cat?
It'd probably make a nice pair of gloves.
A precocious young lass she was. That's it's The Wisdom of Children, right? That's somewhere in your favorite book, right?
Yeah. It's not talking about his wisdom though.
No?
Well, okay, what are we looking at? We're looking at like Psalm 8 right there.
I guess.
Oh, I wasn't expecting a Bible quote here. No, definitely be like unto children in your dependence on your Father in heaven. That's definitely something that Jesus would have taught.
He would have, I guess. Joey, cheap, sustainable source of skin. Yes. That's true.
I mean, you rarely run out of cats.
Yeah, you're not gonna run out of cats. That is the reality of cats. Ixnon, Proverbs 8, wisdom cries out in the street. It does?
She does. Do you want to read it?
She does? No, not really. I'm dyslexic. I hate reading.
You want me to read it?
I have so many books that I need to read. And we went to the library, to 2 branches of the library recently. And I was just like,
why are you calling me good, Sally? None is good but God alone.
Ooh, ouch. Wow.
It's from the book, Mark. It's from the book.
If you say so. I don't know. I have to take your word for it. Sally made that mistake. I think it was actually today or yesterday. She was like, but you're Catholic. And I'm like, I did not grow up Catholic. I don't know what to tell you. You don't just get in for free, you know, like you have to actually work for it. Denise, she was a born engineer. She also asked the same age exactly how close was God to the surface of the water when he spoke. This was after a Sunday school lesson on Genesis. That's hysterical. That's hysterical. So I think he's okay with it. Yeah, well, we'll see. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting. Are those the only two options? Binary thinker. So Mark's Protestant. No. All people who are not Catholic are not automatically Protestant.
The Orthodox, for instance.
Yeah.
There's also an open canonical question is whether or not Protestantism actually exists.
Mm.
So
Oh no, it does.
like on the basis of a continuation of the sacraments and appropriate or a recognizable ecclesiastical hierarchy, we can recognize the existence of the Orthodox churches. So, yep, that's a bishop, that's the Eucharist. You got a church there, buddy.
But that's what makes the protest is they're trying to do the thing while denying that it's already there effectively, right? Like because they're denying the body that they should be part of, but copying it at the same time. And so they at least are trying to recognize the value and do the thing, but they can't because they're rebelling. And so they just split. And then that of course leads to more splitting. Denise, so they both protest too much. Well, and it doth, yes. They doth protest too much. Yeah, and it is a protest, right? Because they're not coming into alignment with the church, right? They're not even acknowledging the universal church in most cases. I mean, they might use that terminology, but clearly they're not they don't have that many levels of hierarchy. So there can't be a universal church if it's just you straight to God. Like that's not going to work. You just have your local church at best, but that's an offshoot now. It's not going up. It's going to the side. That's why it keeps splitting. It just splits.
And it's really funny when you see the pattern, right? Because, guess who's got a problem with priests splitting? The Society of St. Pius X, which has, been in a rather precarious canonical situation for decades now. And they've got trouble with like their priests deciding that the society is not pure enough and then going off and doing their own thing,
Well, that's why I'm like Protestants. You like all this variation. It's all in the Catholic Church. You'll be fine. Sally Joe, but unfortunately, I wish it wasn't so. I'm just a Baptist. What do I know? Except everyone should go to church. Well, but they shouldn't. They should go to the church. This is the problem.
I agree, Mark.
Not any random church. That's not going to work. Denise, this is why they can't stand on their own. They're purely adversarial. It's an identification against. Yeah, that's the other way you sort of notice it. Ixnay Baptists would kill Mark with overfeeding.
Oh, come on. The Catholics can do that too. I've been to some epic church basement potlucks.
Well, they could, but they might not. Whereas the Baptists can't help themselves. They would totally allow me to. I have a hard enough time with Sarah. She's like, well, I just want you to be happy. And I'm like, yeah, happiness is not Snickers bars in the cabinets, though. Because, I mean, that may be temporary happiness, but that's a dark road for me. She did that once we were at the grocery store, and I was like, I just needed a Snickers bar. I just had to have one.
Just
and she's
one.
like, no, don't buy one. They're too expensive. I'll buy 20. They're much cheaper. And I was like, no, you're totally missing the point.
Yeah.
If I pay 3 times as much per unit, it's totally worth it for me to be constrained to one. Because if I just have one a day, even that's not good.
These tiny women have no idea how it actually works.
Nope. Well,
I'm sure there's all sorts of things I don't understand about them as well.
Like, it's the people-pleasing thing. Like, oh, I want to make you happy. That's a bad goal. My happiness comes in many forms that aren't good for me.
Yeah, okay. All right.
I'm just saying. Denise, have you noticed that during the Reformation, Protestant collars made them look like heads on a platter? Those ruffled collars. Yeah. That's true. Did the Catholics ever have ruffled collars? There a church history of ruffled collars in the
I
past?
think she's just talking about the fashions of the time.
That could be, which they're prone to. I mean, Protestantism is just the fashionable religion of the time, whatever that is. And then they just steal whatever parts they want from Catholicism and throw out all the good stuff. Denise, it was the embodiment of the separation of mind and body. Yeah, well, I don't know that it was more than fashion, but it could have been, I guess. I don't know. Catholics continue to dress flamboyantly. Flamboyantly? Yeah, flamboyantly. Yeah, maybe.
This sweater, I'm wearing it because it's cold outside. This is my warmest sweater.
There you go. That's your warmest sweater? Oh my goodness.
Look, man, I know it doesn't look like much, but it is crazy warm. It's like whatever they did to engineer. This is Norwegian engineering here, and you just need to trust the Norskis with wool.
Yeah.
Like they know what they're doing. Let them cook.
Let them cook. Exactly. Denise, Protestants require dark clothing and indulged only in lace collars. Yeah, well, they have to signal piety somehow. And when you don't have proper symbolic interfaces to the world, you flatten everything to material, and then you run into all kinds of problems, which are rather obvious, but whatever. Everyone's going to pretend they don't exist, and Protestantism is just fine, I guess. Who knows?
Not me. I've only been to one Protestant Sunday service in my life.
Really? The Thunder Bay one was it, huh?
Well, I'm busy on Sundays.
That's fascinating. Yeah, that was a particularly horrifying one for sure. But don't do a wedding. Oh my goodness. You probably
I've done weddings. I've done weddings.
Protestant weddings, really?
Well, the thing is that we don't bind Protestants to Catholic canonical form because we're nice like that. So if two Protestants get married to each other, they're both free to marry. There's no reason for me not to go if I'm invited.
Yeah, but like what happens at these things? Because
as long as there's an exchange of consent, there's a sacramental marriage. So I have yet to be with one that doesn't have any form of exchange of consent. So at least that's like the nugget that they actually have to do. Like, do you want to be married? Yes, okay.
Well, for me, it's more about the sacrifice. And one of the problems of public and private not being differentiated is, what does sacrifice even mean in a world where everything's public? I don't know. Like, I mean, it's still there, obviously, but then everyone's a martyr, even if they, like, we're just talking at a campus, which is just, I mean, it makes sense. It's just horrific. It's like, how do you discern anything in the world?
Well, if you want to discern if somebody's a martyr, you've got to figure out if they were killed in hatred of the faith. There you go.
I thought it was a little more difficult than that, but
no. If you were killed in hatred of the faith, and like you willingly chose it on some level, even if it was just a risk, right? Like, when Isaac Jogues came back over the Atlantic after, oh man, the Iroquois. I'll be specific there. The Iroquois chewed his fingers off because they noticed that they used that to use those to celebrate Mass. And so he had to go back to Rome to get a dispensation to say Mass with his other fingers. It was a big deal in those days. And then he came back over the Atlantic and went back to ministering to the Iroquois, who decided they were going to kill him with really, really, really brutal means, because that's just what those Iroquois were like.
Yeah, they do.
So we count him as a martyr because, like, dude, nobody would have blamed you for staying in France after that. Like, Your Excellency, I had my fingers chewed off. Do I have to go back? No, you don't have to go back. We have work for you here. So, he's a martyr. So,
yeah, I don't think Charlie Kirk applies. but
He wouldn't fit the Catholic definition. If other people are going to use that word, then I can't stop them.
Sally Joe, lots of people want to be martyr, and they will tell you about it, their in-laws, though. Yeah. Well, and that's the other thing. Like, can you imagine telling people you want to be a martyr on a live stream? Like, just every time I see that, because a certain person does that all the time, I'm just so amazed that no one pushes back, and I'm like, really? And like, why would I want to know this information? Like, first of all, I think if you want to be a martyr, you're already disqualified, but whatever.
Yeah, right. Because it can't actually be the object of your will to get martyred. The object
Exactly.
of your will has to be something else, and you just get martyred as a result of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it blows my mind that people don't understand a very simple concept like that. And that
Well,
they,
and
and that
also
they,
it's like there's a presumption behind that you're actually going to rise to the occasion when it happens. Whereas if you were to ask me, Mark, if I want to be a martyr.
Would you like to be a martyr, Father?
Mark, I really hope that if I'm ever in that situation, I have the strength to not deny Christ.
There you go.
Like that's the only possible answer right there, because like you don't know what's going to happen when you're in the moment. Like you probably haven't been tested like that.
Yeah. Ixnum, people want to be martyrs as a fast track to sainthood. Yeah.
But
I think that's what they're signaling.
It does work, right? So like, if you're martyred for Christ, you don't even have to be baptized.
Well, except
right?
it doesn't work if you want it. It still doesn't work if you want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you
And
got
you
it,
can't be a saint either. If you want to be a saint, you already disqualified yourself. So probably in perpetuity.
Yeah. What do you mean? Do you want to be a saint? Do you want to be recognized as a saint?
No, they want to be a saint. This is the Protestant way.
No. That's 100% a Catholic saying. And then when you ask them what sanctity means, if the Catholic says it, it's like, well, it means I lived a life pleasing to God and I'm in heaven now.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah, for me,
as long as they're putting the work in, like I don't mind people saying they want to be a saint, and I know I'm not one yet.
Yeah. But if you want to be a martyr as a fast track to being a saint, you've disqualified yourself from both of those.
I've joked about those sorts of things.
Right.
Like I was talking to our chancellor recently, and it's like, wait a minute, hold on. Diocese of Bismarck's got a person they're advancing for sainthood. Diocese of Crookston's got one. Diocese of Duluth's got one. We need to have somebody that we're going to start advancing. You know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go get martyred in Washington D.C. this summer. And it's your job to bring back my body, and then we can have a saint. Yeah. Like that's the way I speak of such things.
That's fine. That's fine. Denise, I've been watching a Muslim soap opera series lately. Why, Denise? Why? Don't.
No, that actually sounds kind of fascinating.
You probably learn a lot. Big part of Muslim pop culture. Well, yeah, their whole theology is based on ultimate sacrifice of the lower classes, not of the upper classes. It's very class based. Sally, death voluntarily and involuntarily is what Islam is all about. That's a death cult. True. Denise, is Turkish series with English subtitles. Don't think about the teddy bear, Denise. Difference. Want to be a saint or want others to see you as a saint. Well, this is the problem. Like, again, Protestantism by definition is flat. Like, all the flat world problems is just Protestantism. It's not the Enlightenment. It's not modernity. It's actually just Protestantism. You can trace it right back. All the timelines go there. All the ideas go there. All the affordances are right there. Yeah, they're not with Luther. I get that. Right. But they are with Tyndale. And then Anne Boleyn with the poisoned Tyndale apple, handing it to Henry VIII. That's the end. Everything from right now, 100 years later, the king is going to be beheaded. Yes, that is true. Right. It all unfolded in exactly that way because, of course, of course it did. What other choice did we have? And it's that infection from the top trickling down to the bottom, because Henry VIII was such an interesting and unique character in history on a lot of fronts. And people have been copying him ever since and just not discerning what parts to copy and what parts to ignore. And now we have two problems. This is how it works. And now you have two problems. But yeah, I would not watch Muslims. But yeah, the Muslims just very hierarchical and very much like, oh yeah, sacrifice is your value. And I'm like, oh, I don't. Ew. I mean, there can be value in sacrifice, but sacrifice in and of itself is not value.
What
And
are
it certainly
you,
doesn't
what are you
scale.
making this holy to? You know, you could,
Right.
yeah,
But what is the proper role of sacrifice in a world where you can't discern public from private? Because privately, I struggle with gluttony in all forms. Like, you put food in front of me, I want to eat all of it. I don't care about the starving kids in Africa. That's dumb. But my stomach cares that there's food in front of me, and I can just do the same thing for a long time. Like that's very comforting to me. So I will just sit and eat for 2 hours. That's not a problem for me. Right? But it's not good. So so my sacrifice, to some extent, my private sacrifice is things like, yeah, knowing that I'm full and actually listening to myself and throwing that food away. Because that is, I am sacrificing the bad part of me, the gluttony, for, we'll say, the betterment of my existence or something, and probably everybody around me. I'd eat everybody out of house and home. Sally, fasting, doing Lent, praying in your closet and not talk about it. Yeah, all of these things are rightly private sacrifice. Yeah, fasting, it should be a private. You shouldn't advertise their
it's
fasting
almost
unless
as
they're
if
being polite.
when you pray, do not do so on the street corners and synagogues, lest somebody see you and you already have your reward. And when you fast, do not put on a gloomy appearance, but wash your face and go out and be cheerful. And when you give alms, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. It's almost as if all of these things are true, Mark.
I don't know. I'm skeptical. Have they been
Yeah.
written down for 2,000 years plus? Otherwise,
It's in this book.
name,
Help me out. It's got a
author.
really short name and no
I know,
author.
and no author. How can you remember such a book? How can you imagine? And I've done it too. I've done it to few. I don't get to do it very often, but I've done it to these idiots because I like books and books are very. I'm like, all right, well, and you like evolution, okay, so like that means the Bible's your favorite book then? Oh, I've never read that. No, that's terrible. I'm like, you don't understand what you believe. Like, you're a nutbag. Denise, what I find interesting is how much appreciate parts are congruent with American religious narratives. Well, that's because they might have gotten it all from somewhere. I don't know. It's possible.
They got
Sally,
the
but hopefully-
technology from somewhere.
Yeah.
They got the idea of a soap opera from somewhere.
Yeah. But hopefully the results show the fruits. Yeah. Yeah. Some of us have read the book and continue to. Yeah. Well, they shouldn't. That should be delivered to you as needed by somebody who read it correctly, hopefully, or more correctly than you could. Something like that. This is super important. Christendom had it right. And Denise, same pop culture, different label. Well, there's always that issue. I mean, and it's always a problem too, because I mean, I love Dr. Vervaeke, but my goodness, his presumption that, like, if you read Plato over and over again, you're going to get more stuff out of it. I'm like, I know that happens for some people, but I also know what percentage of people that is, and bad strategy statistically, dude. This is just a bad strategy. And then everybody misunderstands the parable of the cave, and even my good buddy Lantern Jack. What? No, I didn't. Why do you want me to use that word? Because it's Christian? I'm like, I have no idea if the word's Christian, dude, but like, look at what you said the Greek translation was, and then go look at the English definition of this word. Tell me why you didn't use the word when the English definition fits your Greek translation perfectly. Just tell me. That's all I want to know. Right? Trying to make a very important point here. I'm not
what was the
pushing
word? I didn't
Christianity on you.
I didn't
No.
I didn't what was the word? Was it
Resurrection.
resurrection? Okay. That's what I
It was
thought.
resurrection. He wouldn't use it. I'm like, dude, why aren't you using? You just did the translation. Like, I don't get it. The translation is actually the definition of the word resurrection, according to like the
What if he
Merriam-Webster.
said resurrectio?
No, it because it's a phrase in the. I'd pull it up because I actually have the Republic Globe, but I it would be too hard for me to find it because I haven't really rummaged through those yet and found like my bearings in those books. But yeah, I was shocked, and he was like, "What do you?" He kind of treated, and he knows me too, right? I'm like, dude, come on, like that's not what I do. But I'm a language guy. Like I know the definition of resurrection, and you just repeated it when you were translating your Greek, which is your expertise, like not mine. You're the one with the PhD. Like I'm just curious as to why you didn't use the word that fits your definition perfectly or your words perfectly in terms of definition. That's all. Like I was just curious, man. I'm not pushing anything. That's not what I do. But yeah, people are real resistant, which is I just find it fascinating.
Yes,
Utterly
yes.
fascinating.
Imagine people resisting what's best for them.
Well, and I think that reading the book over and over again, that's what contributes to the fundamentalism and the digging your heels in. Because if you don't get more out of it every time you read, because most people won't, because they can't, then what you're going to get is more confirmation bias every time you read. And more confirmation bias is a good way to describe fundamentalism.
It's like your problem isn't being caused by not having read this enough.
Yeah, exactly. But reading it over and over again and not getting disconfirmed adds to confirmation bias. Repetition is very powerful at changing minds and keeping minds locked in, and people don't realize that. Like they really don't think this through. They magic the logic so that it'll just do a magical change, and it's like now
As if it's writing to memory on your computer and you only need to do it once and it'll be there when you're looking for it again.
And then you rewrite it, which isn't even how computer memory works, which is just hysterical. Denise, the problem is if you think the sinner understands his sin the way you do, but the fact the sinner does not see what is wrong. Yeah. Well, it's very much a personal private perspective problem, which is nobody's really talking about. He takes your criticism as praise the same way you would not care a Protestant criticizes a rosary. Yeah.
Hold on. I would defend the honor of my mother.
Yeah.
Any day of the week, you know? Pete's sake.
But I think it's just funny, like, because people use the computer memory example, and I'm like, do you mean DRAM, dynamic RAM, that has what's called a refresh rate? Really? Is that what we're... It's like, no, your analogy is backwards. It disproves what you're trying to prove, because actually the way computer memory works is it refreshes the bits every whatever nanoseconds. That's how it works, guys. Repetition is required for memory.
And nobody wants to use a spinning hard drive anymore.
No, they don't. They don't. Oh, and it turns out the NAND drive, the NAND based drives, the SSDs need to be powered up every once in a while, like every 6 months.
Otherwise, all the bits drop out.
The bits drop out. Yep. Denise, yes, defend the honor, but the attacker has no clue what it is you defend. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if I were to describe the largest single problem with Protestantism, it is the lack of the interface with the divine feminine, and not just the interface, but the ability to interface.
I just want it's a fidget spinner. It's just a fidget spinner. RJ knew me somehow and knew that I needed one. You wouldn't believe the number of hours I've been sitting at this very desk and fidget spinning. I wonder if the quality of my live streams haven't gone up. Although every once in a while I'll drop it and I'll have to go pick it up.
That's hysterical. I Didn't realize you were using that. Yeah, that was RJ's. RJ's funny. Yeah. Yeah.
He
It
figured it
also
out,
the-
or he just guessed. Maybe he was a lucky guess. I don't know, but I love this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, he was giving away all kinds of anxiety tools because that was his problem. So I think he's gotten better. I don't know. He's over in Denver now. So
Mm.
we'll have to see if he floats by DC this summer. Maybe we can all get together again. Who knows?
Maybe.
It'll be a last summer in DC, Father.
Oh, thanks be to God. Yeah,
I got
that's
you.
how I feel about that. I want to be done. I worked on my thesis today.
Oh, good. How's that going?
So you've got to make sure that you've got the understanding difference between a cathedral parish, a parish, a quasi parish, a collegial versus canon parish, and then prefecture and abbey nullius of no one, and all of these different distinctions that no longer exist in the 83 code, but are in the part of the 17 code that I have to study. So I had to figure out what all these distinctions mean, because like in the English translation, it just says, "Oh, this is a prefecture of no one," and it's like, then why do we care? Means there's no bishop in charge of it. Oh, gotcha.
Wow. Gotcha.
So yeah, and then the more I work with the 17 code, the more I recognize what Cardinal Gasparri accomplished, and B, the more I'm really glad that we have the 83 code now, because it's just much better laid out. Both of these things can be true at once.
Oh yeah, I got to do a flat world. That's just coming up more and more. It was boy.
Like this was an accomplishment, and what we have now is better. Like both of those can be true.
It's so hard. I was breaking that down earlier today. It's amazing how many people can't put two things in their head without making them oppositional. Like they just can't have two positives in their head at once. Which, Ben Shapiro was on years ago, right? Two things can be true at the same time, right? What he meant was two good things could be true at the same time. That's actually there's only one good thing. This other thing must be bad. That's really what people are doing, because they're in the binary thought mode, because they were told they could read, a very complex book and get something out of it. Ixnay sounds like nerd stuff.
Oh, you have no idea. It is.
Yeah, you have no idea. Don't even
we're
get
talking
started.
like you think that guy that who's a Catholic and who's really into it and knows all the saints, like you think he's a nerd. Just wait till he goes to canon law school.
Nerd explosion.
Yeah.
Nerd supernova. Yeah, the canon law school thing. Oh, that's a mess. There's a lot there. There's a lot there. It's a bottomless pit of legalism.
No, there is a bottom. Eventually, the bishop just makes a decision.
Fair. Eventually, the bishop just goes, "All right, enough of this. We're doing it this way."
It's like, okay, then I'll just type up the paperwork on how you're doing it, and you just sign it, because we figured out that because there's a doubt of law, you can actually dispense from this. So we're good to go.
Excellent. That's perfect. That's the perfect safety valve. I love it.
Yeah, it doesn't work for everything. There are certain things that we can't, dispense from. But a lot of it, the stuff that, the human beings have created, you can get somebody to dispense with it. Sometimes it's like, well, if you want this, you got to go to Rome. So you can do it. It's just probably going to take some time, and that's, Rome's gotten better about not reserving too much to itself, except for, of course, the traditional Latin Mass. But we won't bang on about that now.
Oh,
you want the traditional Latin Mass in your cathedral? Well, you need to go to Rome for that. You want to have an Orthodox wedding in your cathedral? The bishop can take care of that. It's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that's insane.
Like we won't even let our own people into the. I'm done. I'm done.
Take a breath. Deep breath. Deep breath. Yeah. But it's okay to play freaking Lean on Me as part of your 2 podium service. Oh, I don't think I'm ever gonna recover from that. Guitars in the church.
Next
Oh
time
my
we're
goodness.
in person, I'll give you an exorcism for that.
Thank you.
We'll
Thank
drive
I
those evil spirits away.
I would appreciate that. Yeah, I need that for sure. For sure, for sure. Yeah. We gotta bump up the spiritual power of exorcisms in the church and stuff, man. We need to bring some big guns to this spiritual battle. We're not bringing the goods.
Yeah, no. Listen, we have all the big guns. We just have to use them.
You've got missiles. Not one has been fired.
I fired the Roman missile at 11:30 a.m. today. Thank you very much, Mr.
Oh,
Lepev.
okay, excellent,
We
excellent.
fired off the missile. Gosh, it doesn't.
All right,
It blows up spiritually.
that would be fine with me.
A literal nuclear bomb of love.
Everyone got sick, you know, and I'm just like, where's the Catholic protection for the Catholics? This is terrible. Everyone got sick. Poor Castle's still recovering from his cold. I mean, this is awful.
Oh no.
Awful, awful. Yeah, he was in bad shape. I'm like, what is happening? Ugh. And then I got this rosacea or something going on my face. And I was all hopeful because then when we went to Florida, it went away immediately. And I was like, aha. And then it came back while we were still in Florida. I was like, okay, it's not the house. It's good to know.
That is a useful thing to know.
Yeah. Uh-oh, Denise. I went through the original hippie folk mass stuff. Mea culpa, maxima culpa. Fair. Yeah, it was no good. I was actually at one of the very first Novus Ordo masses at a Jesuit school where my sister worked. Oh, cool.
First Sunday of Advent, 1969.
Maybe they were weapons of mass destruction. Yeah. That's technically what they are. Yes, at least when you use them at mass, which I'm assuming that's what Father's referring to. So, yeah.
Yeah. The Roman missile, it's a weapon of mass destruction. You're irraditing the landscape with something. I don't know, the light of Christ. Like the light of Christ flashes and you can't see anything else. Yeah.
Noah, the FSSP church near my house has been a gift to go to. Oh, good.
Thanks be to God. Those guys are in communion with Rome.
Oh,
it's beautiful.
We love them, man.
Big fans. Yeah. They were the ones who trained me how to do the Latin Mass. I went to the workshop in Nebraska.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
Good. No, that's fantastic. That's really important. Yeah, I just think the Catholics and the Orthos, for that matter, they need to dial up the spiritual power a bit, you know? I mean,
our diocesan exorcist has been doing a lot of very useful training and providing materials for us to do this kind of stuff. Right? But like you can't play around with it.
Yeah.
You understand you can't play around with it, right? If you're going to do this properly, like you show up, you know, like you make sure you go to confession that week. You show up early, you put all the protections in place, and then like you got multiple people there, and like, you know, something weird starts happening. You got to say something right away because you don't want to get this out of hand, you know. Oh man, just stuff. Yeah.
Denise, yeah. I was a kid and my mother didn't want to go into the chapel because she said it was pagan. And I just stood back and watched the adults argue while I planned my escape. Oh, yes. Well, it's, yeah, Vatican II caused a bunch of problems because they opened the door to change. and you can open the door to change, but you don't necessarily control the change. And that,
Which is why all the people who are super into psychedelics are really dumb, because it's just like, look, the door is open. It's like, yeah. What's out there?
yeah,
No, listen, man, the door's open.
right.
Okay, door's open. I can see it's open. What's gonna come in? No, man, the door's open. This is amazing. That door's never been opened before. Now it's open.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And
why
now
I-
you have machine elves. You want machine elves? That's how you get machine elves.
No, I don't
You
want machine
open the
elves.
door.
Father Heward, may he rest in peace, always said, slow change is good change.
Yes, yes, yeah.
And then Saint John Henry Newman, God accomplishes great works by plain means.
Denise, I escaped by getting a scholarship to the university and jumped both feet into the 1969-1972 student uprising. Oh my goodness. Oh, what a
The
horrible
most
time.
interesting commenter on YouTube. There we go.
Yeah, and that whole thing. And it is that public-private distinction, right? Oh, this door is open. Yeah, what's that door opening to? And what private things are you letting out? And because, man, if you've ever watched, because I unfortunately with the dirty, smelly, druggy hippies, I watched them on their little trips, and the stuff they would admit to. It's just like
Only thing I've ever seen is a bad trip.
I've seen some neutral trips because those exist, but
Yeah.
like you're the same at the end. Like they didn't do you any good. You just wasted a bunch of time and played with your tongue for like 3 hours. That's not like what are we doing?
Mhm.
Yeah, but I felt good, man. I mean, maybe, but
Couldn't
don't
you have
know.
gotten that with a bath and a glass of port?
exactly. You've been better off with a hot tub than all this nonsense. Oh, it's
Speaking
terrible.
of nonsense, Mark, I've got a nonsensical 4-hour drive tomorrow.
All right, Father. Well, it was good to see you. Keep your private stuff to the private people.
Listen, Mark, you have no idea.
I know. No, I have some idea. Imagine being happy to see Bismarck, North Dakota. Like that's talk about a low in your life. Oh my goodness, look at this tiny place with 4 buildings or whatever the hell it was. It's so exciting.
You guys didn't even get to Bismarck. You were only in Mandan.
Well, true, but I was excited to be in Mandan, and that was
This is where all your beef comes from, Mark. Be grateful.
true. I am, Father. Well, sleep well and safe travels.
Thank you. Good night, and God bless y'all.
Denise, we were introduced to each other by a Worcester Telegram reporter asking us to pose for the photographer. Nice. He was still in uniform, a member of the VVAW. I don't know. I was a naive feminist. Feminism is poison. And it destroyed the world. But that wasn't the only suffrage that we got wrong. It's like all the other suffrages were bad too. A lot of people don't know there was more than one suffrage movement. Oh my goodness. Yeah, look, I don't know personally how people maintain a contrast enough, because you have to contrast the public and the private to see how you can be better, because the world needs you. And if you're better, the world will be better because you happen to be in the world. It's not that hard. People make it hard, but VVAW is Vietnam vets against the war. Yeah, well, that is somewhat understandable. Also, yeah, there's so many things wrong with that conflict. Just like the Civil War, there's so many things wrong. You can't even get into it. But yeah, I think ultimately, without the contrast of the public and the private, it's very hard for you to see yourself clearly. because you can't tell where you end and other things begin. And the amount of mileage I get off that statement. Thanks, Joey. I didn't even see the original comment. Joey did. The person who posted that original comment vanished. Yeah. Denise, I was not really a feminist and soon discovered that what we thought was, quote, liberation was what they were really doing. Yeah, well, yeah, that was not what they were really doing, was it? Yeah, well, this idea of freedom, this universal idea of freedom through equality or whatever, or through knowledge, through agenosis, it's pervasive and it's killing us. But it's time for my privacy to return. So I'm going to end the stream here. And just note, public versus private matters. It's a big deal. It affects a lot of things. And the fact that we haven't been formed with the understanding of how to draw that separation and why it's important is the thing that causes a lot of problems that are not expected. But you can do the things that make the world better by being better. And that's all you need. And then the world needs that, and you need that. So do that. Separate your private life and your public life. And I will see you all next week. I'm going to do an announcement on the community page of the channel about the movie club thing. I will set an alarm so that I remember to do that hopefully tomorrow or Sunday. And join us if you can. Let me know if you want to do it, say on a stream or not on a stream. And we'll get that done because that'll be fun. It'll be a fun little discipline thing we can do. We've got more practices coming. I know there's practices on the Discord server now that we're doing every Wednesday. I'm not running that one, so that's good. And take care of yourselves and each other. Be better. That'll make the world better. Have a great week, and I will see you later.